So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome everyone for our third webinar. Wellness Center IIT Roorkee has decided we could conduct multiple webinar using inviting eminent professors in different area in different part of country and international. So today we have a eminent professor, Dr. Manoj Kumar Sharma. He is a professor of clinical psychology, National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience, Bangalore. Today the topic we are assigned for sir is a favorite subject. It's a boosting healthy internet habit. And if you check who is the best person in the behavioral addiction in India, who has done in the pioneer in the world of the behavioral addiction, the Google first tell about Dr. Manoj Kumar Sharma because of his clinic. It's called Shut Clinic Service for Healthy Use of Technology. And recently he has designed one of mobile application is called Digital Detox, and it become very useful because using this application, people can identify how long they have used the internet and the level of internet use. And if they understand I am vulnerable for excessive use of internet, what are the uh, awareness or strategy I could use to come out from this one. So based on this background, I am again going little detail about Sir. Uh, Sir has completed MPhil in mental health and social psychology from NIMANS Bangalore, and he has completed PhD in clinical psychology. He is a member of World Health Organization, a group for addictive behavior. His area of interest including tobacco cessation, substance use and prevention, emotional dysfunction among youth, psychotherapy, yoga, religiosity, spirituality, and mental health. He is currently conducting multiple research projects funded by different organizations, understanding and prevention for behavioral addiction and in addiction behavior in multiple age. And sir is also published almost more than 90 articles. So is really an eminent person in the field of the behavioral addiction. And thank you, sir, to joining with us to for today program. And
Thank you.
now it's your turn, sir. We are ready to hear from you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashfaq. First, I would like to thanks IIT Wellness Center for inviting me for this topic. And, and this is like a beginning of association with all of you. And I hope with this interactions, we will be able to take certain actions towards healthy use of technology, and we will remain in touch in future also for further issues related to technology use. So thank you all, and so basically, Ashok, we can have next slide.
Yes.
So this clinic, I think I've been working in this area from 2007 onwards, and based on our research and as well as on research projects findings, and we found that there is a need to establish a clinic which can address issues related to the technology use and which can also helps the user in terms of skill training, how they can work on technology use as well as the reason which are associated with the use of technology. So with this pretext, we started this clinic in 2014, and because in 2014 it was India's first clinic to work in the area of technology addictions. We had this kind of clinic in UK, South Korea, Japan, and China, but India, and they started somewhere in 2008 and 9. But India started this clinic in 2014, and which attracted a lot of media attention as well as in national and international. And that's why British Medical Journal also brought out an article about Shut Clinic in their journal. So that way, it become a milestone in the area of technology addiction work in Indian context. Next. So what I want to say, like generally when we start using technology, I would go with one popular theory in psychology called Maslow theory, and it gives five needs of psychological needs, and we generally start with physiological needs, which goes with like air, food, drink, sleep, sex, and then comes the safety need, followed by social needs, self-esteem needs, and self-actualization. So the how technology use has affected the expression of this need. Now we can see, like nowadays people can postpone their food, people can postpone, I think, whatever the activities I have given under physiological needs under Maslow theories can be postponed for use of technology, because people looks for devices, people looks for good internet connection, people looks that even though these are there, it's easy to pass the day. It is not a problem of adults. Even children's adolescents feel that if mobile is there, system is there, and with good connectivity is there, they can easily structure their day in online activities. So it's been somewhere physiological needs has taken a secondary seats, and the technology use had become the primary needs for most of the users. So that's a change we are seeing. Then comes the safety need. The safety need earlier it used to be governed by whatever is available in the environment. Like it could be law, it could be other resources in the environment which used to give us feeling of safety. But nowadays people also derive this feeling of safety through technology use. They feel if the mobile is them or if the internet is with them, they are secure anywhere. 24 into 7 security is there because all these devices are there, and which sometimes holds relevance also. But in some of the cases when they are giving too much preference for online activities or online devices for safety, then it becomes a concern for us. So I'm not saying it's all is wrong, but somewhere in most of the cases when excessive use come only for safety thing, then it's a concern for us. Then another thing which comes is social needs. Earlier the social needs used to get fulfilled through interactions, maybe in the when we are in the college, when we are in that workplace, or when we are at home. But nowadays if you see, the social needs have changed. Even at home, I think family members gets less time to interact with each others. Most of the family members complain that they are busy with the mobile phone or they are busy with the chatting. In one of our client, when we gave a one task to the family that why don't we spend 1 hour together every day and have some quality time. So that family made a judicious attempt to spend 1 hour together, but then they came with a complaint that during that 1 hour they don't know what to interact with, because that so interaction habits has gone because of use of social media, because of use of other devices, and we feel more comfortable in sharing thoughts, sharing feelings through social needs. And that's why I think some of the cases when we see, like adolescent or the user are spending a lot of time on social media or on gaming platforms, so family has a concern why he or she is spending too much time. But when we do individual interview with them, they say that there is nobody to talk in the family, there is nobody to talk in the society, there is nobody to talk in the friend circle, everybody is available on online. And nowadays this need has become very significant during due to COVID time. Most of the time the physical interaction has gone down, and people feel that all are available on online. That's why I have to be online either for social media, either for chat, or even people who have a preference for playing games, they feel gaming habits gives them a scope to interact with their friends or to chat or to discuss whatever they can't discuss in the offline world. So it means somewhere your social needs are also getting fulfilled through online platforms. So it has become online social needs. Then comes like self-esteem, because nowadays if you see, all these online platforms also boost of your self-esteem, because sometimes people boost of how many followership they have, how many friends they have online, or sometimes when they put any videos on any platform, they like to see how many people have seen it. And nowadays, when TikTok was banned, I think that people also start, people who used to create videos and all. One is definitely they feel that's a, they have lost certain one platform, but they also concerned about that I may lose my followerships and how so many people used to appreciate me. So that way, that appreciation used to enhance one's self-esteem, which earlier used to come through family praise, which used to come through teachers' praise, which used to come through social circle, but now it has become through online platform, and that's become a concern for us, and that's also a reason for excessive use. Then comes the self-actualization, which is the most desired need in the human life, that people wants to have a feeling of actualization of their potential. But nowadays, when we with the use of technology, it has become how many activities you can do online, that shows somewhere the feeling of actualization, or how many things you can do, whether positive or negative, that also gives you the feeling of actualization. So you can see the how the expression of our basic needs have changed because of technology use. But when it comes to technology addiction, what we see that there is a lack of involvement in physiological activities. More involvement goes in online activities. People feel safe and secure due to availability of gadgets. And once gadgets are taken off, once they don't have access to the devices, or when the internet connectivity is less, more anger, more irritability, and a lot of other existential issues comes up. Because there is a phenomenon, sometimes people say when they are not carrying their mobile phone, they are not feeling comfortable, because they feel that somewhere they have lost their best friends in the human life. So that way the safety needs has changed. Then comes the social needs, which is again, if it is getting fulfilled more through the online platform, it is a concern. Then self-esteem needs, again the recognition which comes through social media or through online platforms has become a predominant need, will also leads to excessive use, and the same way actualization will come up. So you can see how much the change has come. So this is the basic model which we have proposed, and we thought this is the best way to reflect back that how does technology use is affecting your day-to-day needs. Next, Ashwin.
Yes. Hello.
Huh. So now comes like, now we have discussed how the technology use has affected the expression of things. But now the question comes, is my technology use is becoming addictive, or is it still in the recreational domain? Because technology use also vary from previous slide, Mr. Shah. Technology use also vary from recreational to addictive use. So we have to certain and we have to know what are the various signs of addictive use. The first sign goes with like continuous desire to access technology or gaming or any other devices which you prefer. So most of the day or most of the time of the day goes in with the feeling that I should access my devices, I should access my other online platform. So if that continuous desire is there, that's a first sign of problematic or addictive use in your lifestyle. Second goes with loss of control. Once you start your use of technology, do you have a control? Like you might have control for other activities, but whether the same control happens for technology use or not. If that is not happening, like if for simple example is like people say I start my social media to be there for 40 minutes or 30 minutes, but it become 4 hours. Sometime I watch one Netflix show, but sometime it goes into 3 to 6 series I have to goes in watching. So that all becomes the loss of control. So if that is there, that's a second sign of problematic use in your lifestyle. Third is you have consequences in your lifestyle due to technology use. It could be your delay of sleep, because we have seen people who sleep with the mobile phone, or people who sleep with the devices, or those who are accessing devices while sleeping, they generally have almost 60 to 90 minutes delay in their sleep. It is minimum, but in some of the cases if you have more preference, then you may delay your sleep for almost 180 minutes and more than that also. So that's mean that sleep disturbance may come up. Or sometimes it's a excuse also, people, whether it is a professional or whether it is a student, they feel we were busy throughout the day, now night time is a time for relaxation. I can relax myself by doing XYZ activity on the online platform. And sometimes if they don't have control, it will definitely impact their sleep. Second thing comes, because of continuous desire, you may lose your interest in academics, you may lose your interest in other day-to-day activities, and sometimes you may develop other behavioral issues which you don't have in your uh, personality or which you don't have as a day-to-day activity, but you are developing because technology is not available to you. So if these three characteristics are there, then we can say that you are moving towards problematic or addictive use. But if these characteristics are not happening with you, you are still in that non-problematic zone of internet use. So that's the simplest way to identify. Next. So now I think on an average, one person check the mobile phone 60 to 70 times minimum per day, because sometimes this 60 to 70 times also comes up because there is a phenomena called zero inbox syndrome. All of us have a tendency to make our inbox zero. Means inbox zero means whether it is for any kind of platform, because that anticipation or the desire to make your inbox zero makes you to check your mobile phone repeatedly, and sometimes you may spend 1 minute per time or you may spend more than 1 or 2 minutes, so it automatically it amounts to 2 to 3 hours loss, or 2 to 3 hours goes from your productive day-to-day activities in accessing mobile phone or responding to those messages and all which you get on the online platforms. So that's the first thing you have to check. Are you repeatedly checking your mobile phone? Second thing, or are you suffering from the syndrome called zero inbox syndrome? This is not empirically studied, this syndrome, but case-based reports show that we do suffer from this zero inbox syndrome. So keep in mind this symptom. It will help you out to recognize your excessive use. Then comes like the use is increasing because of accessibility, because 24 into 7 is there. Lot of acknowledgement you get through online platforms, and that's why, because getting acknowledgement in the offline world takes time, but once you post anything you will immediately get xyz acknowledgement and you will feel better off also. So that's becomes another reason for excessive use. And affiliation, the affiliation need is definitely is a predominant need, is the reason because you want to make friendship, you want to chat, you want to ventilate, and sometimes people are under distress. They don't want to talk to the people who are available around them, but they feel better off while discussing on the online platform. Another characteristics of online platform is it provides you the opportunity, it gives you the freedom to discuss anything, to chat anything. So sometimes it has a phenomenon like it is called online disinhibition. It's give you the opportunity for online disinhibition, which may be sometimes used for productive purpose because you don't have any channel, you want to ventilate, and but sometimes online disinhibitions allow persons to engage in various kind of deviant use of cyberspace also, because sometimes various kind of cyber crimes happens or various kinds of other stuffs happen which may be because of online disinhibition, and people feel one is online disinhibition, second is anonymity. People feel we are anonymous, we can keep ourselves anonymous, so we can do anything online, and that's why that also contribute to the online disinhibition. And third thing which comes, like people also have a tendency of denial. They feel that if I would do anything I can easily deny that is not my intention, or I can delete my post. So these kind of phenomena, deletion, uh, paying deletion, and this denial, all these contributes to the online disinhibition, and which may contribute to various kind of cyber related uh, crimes as well as deviant behavior also. So we have to, that's basically underlie the need for cyber literacy among most of the users so that they can have a better use of technology. Second thing which comes, like if you might have seen during lockdown period, even before lockdown, digital platform has become a leisure activities. Like earlier we used to have a leisure activities in the offline world by engaging ourselves in XYZ activity, but now the leisure activities has become online. If we have to relax, we have to relax with the mobile phone. Even among adolescent, if they have a continuous classes, they likes to relax with some music whenever they take a break. Or sometimes some of the parents have a concern, or sometimes the adolescents or the young adults also have a concern that they keeps doing their productive work, but they are also active on their chatting and other things also. And but what some of the studies have shown, like anytime when you distract yourself for any activities, your mind takes always, or your brain takes almost 3 to 5 minutes to get back to the same concentration level. So it means subjectively you may feel that you are attentive, but your brain may takes every time 3 to 5 minutes whenever they feel distraction because of XYZ activity. So please feel caution if you are doing any productive focus work, so you can schedule your use of technology so that you can have a better productivity. Then comes entertainment. Entertainment is another reasons for use of technology, excitement, and I think work from home is also becoming a reason because there is no other pleasure activities. So that's why again technology use is increasing. Coping. Sometimes people use technology as a platform to cope with psychological distress because I'm not feeling good. Technology allow me to feel better off by sharing, by looking at videos, or by listening to the music. It also helps you to overcome your boredom. That's another reason for the use of technology. Loneliness. Most of the people feel lonely, and that they feel again loneliness can be managed through online platforms because some of the cases have reported to us that watching show series helps them to structure their time, helps them to overcome loneliness, and nowadays, lockdown itself has become a rationale for use of technology for work as well as for leisure activities. The last is social brain hypothesis. Most of the us do likes to build up our friendship online, and we do boost off about how many friends we have. And sometimes the underlying reason for having too many friends is also there that they will also help you when you are in a crisis, as we happens in the offline context. But what studies have shown that when any crisis happen, only first 10 to 50 friends would be there to help you out. Rest would be just your contact who may not bother if you are not available on online platform. So it's mean it's a person who has to take a decision that do I have to build up many connections or do I have to translate my time into some productive work or productive activities. Next. So there are like till now we have discussed various environmental reasons, but now there are certain individual reasons which also predispose you to have excessive use of technology. Like sometimes people feel because of personality issues, because of other psychological issues, they feel I am worthless offline, but I am very important online. The simplest example is like people who are socially anxious, who can't have a difficulty in building a friendship offline, but they feel that they can do very good in online platform. They can have X number of friends, which is very they are lacking in the offline world. So it gives them the feeling of worthiness, which is not happening in the offline world. Or people say I'm a failure in the real world, but I'm doing very good. Like people now, teenager or the young adults nowadays. This is one example. It doesn't applicable to all the people. People feel that I'm not doing very good in academics, but I'm a very good game player and I represent South Zone or my ranking is XYZ in the overall world ranking and I'm doing very good and so many people appreciate my gaming abilities and also that appreciation, that acknowledgement from the gaming platforms gives him a high in self-esteem and which more or less compensate him or her for his or her failure in the real world. So these kind of cognitive coping, this kind of cognitive rationalization do also help the people to maintain their use of technology. And another example which goes that world doesn't care so much. I myself immerse myself in the online world. They feel everybody is busy. Even though I'm doing good, nobody appreciate me. My parents always are critical of me. My teachers are also critical of me. A friend doesn't appreciate me, so let me enjoy my online world. And that will also becomes a platform to for excessive use of technology. Next. Another things reason which comes up is blaming. People say it's not internet, it is the work in my life, it is the stress in my life, which is prompting me to use technology. And I need internet to deal with the problems in my life. They feel that since it helped me to relax, it helped me to feel good. So it is helping me to deal with the XYZ issues of my life also. And sometimes people say that my parents, spouse, and school drive me to the internet. And they say sometimes nowadays a lot of discussions are happening about online classes, online assignments, and people feel that that is the only way to. Since I'm online, so for whenever I have to relax, I have to relax with the online platforms only, and that's why sometimes I use increase. And but people around me don't understand me, and it could be excuse also. It has been a long day, internet helps me to relax. Nowadays in most of the adults we have seen the use of internet increase more in the night time, and especially it's more on the weekends, because they have a rationalization. Weekends is there for to, because next day they don't have to wake up, they can easily structure their day, so and become a reason for using excessively. And there is a term has come called binge watching. I think you might have heard of show series. Like because of show series, or whether it's on any platforms, sometimes we are finding it very difficult to control our watch of show series. And the people have quoted, like if you are watching 2 or 3 show in one go, or if you are watching screen more than 120 minutes in one go. This is the simplest criteria they have given. More than 120 minutes of screen use in one go, or 2 or 3 series or shows in one go. That basically represent the binge watching issues. So in case if you are suffering from binge watching, make it a practice that after each show, take a break, and so that that break will allow you to distract, and break may allow you to postpone your desire to watch the next show also. And it's also, and because I think most of these shows or YouTube's music and all also works on artificial intelligence component. Once you conclude your one music, it will also come with other 10 options, which is similar to the choice, which is similar to your mood states. And since if you are free, you will like to watch the next music or next show also. So please be remain cautious of those options will always be there, but it will allow you to engage in excessive binge watching, which could be because of internet, and sometimes it could be because of XYZ psychological issues, which is prompting you to develop this habit of binge watching. And sometimes it is also this kind of excuse are also used, that it is okay for me to use internet at night since I was studying or working during the daytime. This is a rationale which happens in substance use also. People say I have been productive throughout the day. Nothing wrong if I want to enjoy my drink in the night because I am productive, I am doing very good for my family. But that rationalization may affect their physical health, may lead to other psychological issues. The same reasoning happens here also. So if these kinds of excuse you are also having, work on techniques to build up some other activities during those times so that you can have a healthy use of technology. Next. So what are the various dysfunctions? These are the commonest dysfunctions which I have seen, which we see in our clinic also. I have brought for your attention. One is dryness of your eyes. Because of excessive use of screen, the blinking frequencies comes down, which brings, that's the simplest explanation. Because of decreased blinking frequencies, bring tiredness in your eyes, because you are looking constantly at a small screen or a PC screen, and you are not moving your neck, so it may bring pain in your neck, which is nowadays called texting neck. It may bring pain, fatigueness in your body because you are sitting in a particular posture, which may again bring a fatigueness. And sometimes long hours of browser use and other things also bring pain in the wrist, which is called carpal tunnel syndrome, which is the commonest reason for physiotherapy consultation also. Tennis elbow syndrome is pain in the elbow, again because of excessive use of screen. Again, it is the commonest reason for physiotherapy consultation. And again, because of excessive use of screen, there is a decreased involvement in physical activities. Recently, World Health Organization has recommended that we should have at least 60 to 180 minutes physical activity every day. It is more recommended for young adults also. So, which is nowadays going off because of excessive use of technology. So we have to see how we can structure our physical activities also. Psychologically, because of excessive use, one reason is sometimes internet speed is also a reason for experiencing various psychological problems. You might have seen that when the internet is not available, So you can see whether you feel relaxed or whether you feel distress of. I think most of us do feel distress of because we feel how to structure the free time. So the distress is again psychological. Sometimes we do feel irritability because speed is low. And sometimes most of our treatment seekers who are gamers, and when the speed is an issue, they start become violent towards the parents also because they feel the parents have not brought the good connection for them. So maybe sometimes you may be irritable for your academic work is getting stalled, but sometimes when you are in the play activities, especially young people and all, you may feel irritable that you are not keeping pace with other players and all, and that becomes the reason for irritability. Uneasiness, that will also be then verbal and non-verbal expression of anger is commonly seen in families who are seeing problem of excessive use of technology in the children's or in the partners also. Loneliness, boredom, irritability, and inability to structure free time is another reasons. Social and another thing which has come down is decreased social interaction. Everything is happening online, so we don't feel a need to go anywhere. That is sometimes it's okay also, but that has taken off a lot of our verbal and non-verbal communication. And then sometimes it's like a disturbance in sleep, which I've already mentioned. In some of the excessive user, we have seen that their self-care also goes down. Sometimes they don't take bath, sometimes they postpone their bath, or sometimes they postpone their food habits because they feel that can wait, or sometimes because of their irregular biological rhythm, they wake up very late in the day. So I think most of the day's activities goes off, and irregular eating pattern, which is sometimes also contributing to obesity also in some of the cases we have seen. And because of excessive use, which I already told, sometimes people may manifest as deviant use of cyberspace because free time, boredom, and sometimes because of personality also, because you want to have a novelty, you want to have something very new, and online platform without any hindrance gives you that platform to do anything in an anonymous way, which may sometimes be deviant, which may be distressing to the other people also. Next, Ashwin. So these are some of the symptoms which you might have heard of. I think I would just briefly tell you. One is called nomophobia. Nomophobia is called no mobile fear. Like the day when you are not carrying your mobile phone with you, how do you feel? Most of the people say it's like not carrying. One person, the example which I generally quote, one person reported to us that not carrying mobile phone is like my soul is at home and the body is at workplace. So it's mean you are more or less you are not able to enjoy your work, you are not able to enjoy your academics. So that much is the anxiety people feel because they are not carrying their mobile phone. And especially it happens more because in the adults, and sometimes it is among the elderly people also, because one of the couple came to me, they feel that it's very difficult to get connected with our parents because they are very good on WhatsApp and all, but whenever we like to talk to them, they avoid us. So they feel that how to work on with the technology with my elderly parents also, because elderly parents also feel that they don't have to move anywhere and everything can be done through online. So it means a lot of cyber literacy is required. Another syndrome is called phantom vibration syndrome. Phantom vibration syndrome called pseudo vibration of your mobile phone. Pseudo vibration I refers to that sometime all of us anticipate that phone is vibrating. But when we check our mobile phone, there would be no vibration, there would be no notification. But it leads to repeated check of your mobile phone. So if you are experiencing this syndrome, again you can say you are into the excessive use. Then comes the zero inbox syndrome. Zero inbox syndrome, as the name suggests, you make a tendency to make your inbox zero. And sometimes it is also the reason for delaying your sleep at night because you want to respond to all social media chats, you want to respond to all WhatsApp chat, and since you want to respond to everything, you will not care about your sleep, and the sleep will get postponed for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and maybe hours, maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. Because some of the cases we have seen, those who go for sleep around 4 a.m. or 3 a.m., and it's very difficult then to structure the next day activities. Snapchat syndrome and selfies, I think, which I can say can be related with each other. Selfies, all of us are familiar with, But nowadays, sometimes selfies also predispose people to engage in various high risk behavior. Sometimes people like to take selfie in very high risk situations, which may predispose them for physical harm. But there is another reason, like sometimes selfie is also used to improve one's self-esteem. We take selfie and put on social media platforms and waits for the good feedback. If the feedback is good, we like to have more good feedback. We like to have more appreciation. If the feedback is not good, we again work on ourselves and put a new picture on the online platform. So people, though it has not come as a part of diagnostic category, but American Psychiatric Association has given certain guidelines. Like if you are taking selfie less than 2 times per day, it is a healthy use. But if it is taking 3 to 4 selfie per day, then it comes as an acute problem. But if you are taking more than 5 selfie per day, then it needs a concern. So we have to work on our selfie use also. So sometimes maybe because selfie use can be connected with other psychological needs also. And because of selfie use, sometimes it's a Snapchat syndromes also comes up. Nowadays, a lot of demands has come for cosmetic surgeries. And this demand for cosmetic surgery is more because of online pressure. Because sometimes we want to feel good, we want to look good, or we want to have a certain kind of feedback we got on online platform, and we wanted to work on our physical appearance also, and that's become the reason for getting into various kind of cosmetic consultation also. Then another phenomenon which comes up is called digital amnesia. Digital amnesia refers to, like, all of us have a habit of, like, if you go 5 years back, 10 years back, all of us have a habit of rehearsing our landline numbers. Most of them, those who are, uh, I think, can recall 10 years back, I think most of us knows telephone numbers and all contacts number by heart. But nowadays, because of smartphone has come, that habit has gone. We have started feeding everything in our mobile phone, from assignment to appointments to everything, whatever you want to feed. So now digital amnesia refers to a condition when you lose your mobile phone. How do you feel? Because then the people feel, the day I lost my mobile phone, my main concern is not about food, not about family, not about anything, is to get my SIM back or to put in the new mobile phone so that I can get connected to everybody. Because that's a way become the platform. Because nowadays people also have related, like, earlier when we used to visit any places and all, we used to ask for landmarks and all, that which is a landmark near to your house or which is a landmark to your institutes and all. So but nowadays, because of Google Map, what happens, we don't look at here right and left, we look at the Google Map only, the way Google Map guide us, we reach the particular place. Though it's a very good thing, but somewhere it is also affecting our, I'm not sure, it is again require long-term investigations and all, the whether it is affecting our visual spatial abilities. We have to see that, are we not recalling our real experience to locate a place? Are we still banking on this kind of devices, which is a advantage, but repeated use, how much dysfunction will come? We have to see. Then doom surfing is another thing. Doom surfing is nowadays during COVID time and all of us are looking for what is the negative information or what is a health concern which I missed on online platform. And we keeps browsing our platforms repeatedly, and sometimes it manifests as a excessive use. We don't get, might have exhausted all the information, but still we keep browsing internet and all. And the last is digital burnout. I think most of us users who are not even addict do suffer from digital burnout because of academic use, because of professional use. It definitely brings physical tiredness. And sometimes if you are overlooking our physical tiredness because of excessive use of screen, we may have a physical tiredness, and sometimes it may bring psychological exhaustion also. So it's both the physical and psychological exhaustion constitute our digital burnout. Uh, Just 1 minute, I think, just one.
Yes, sir.
मैं भी कर लेता हूँ आपको 5. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So generally, to avoid digital burnout, what we generally recommend that every 30 to 40 minutes of your screen use, take a break. Break can be in the forms of simple exercise, blink your eyes 10 times so that eyes can get relaxed. Move your head forward, backward 5 times each so that neck strain can goes off. And move your both hand wrist clockwise and anti-clockwise 5 times each so that any strain in your wrist and tennis elbow can be relaxed. So only these three exercises you have to do after every 30 to 40 minutes of use, which can help you out to avoid this digital burnout. So now what we can do basically, yeah, done. Next slide. So now what you can do is first thing as a part of working on your healthy habit, assess yourself for use of gaming and technology. So now these are three categories I have given. If you feel good and if it is improve your social connectivities, if it improves your productivity, and if it is all have positive function, then you can say it has a recreational use you have. But if it is becoming gradually habitual, means you can't live without technology, you can't live without network, you are moving toward problematic use, and there is an increased time spent on use of technology. So again, that's moving you towards a problematic use. And the last is addictive use. Addictive use manifests as preoccupation with technology, loss of control for technology, and continued use despite having consequences in one's lifestyle. If all these three characteristics are coming up, then you can say you are developing addictive use of technology. So now with this simple criteria, you can decide where are you falling, and accordingly you can take certain actions to work on your technology use. Next. So I think this is the simplest screening which I have brought for you. I think which you can do in your day-to-day practice also. One is craving. Craving means do you have a continuous desire to access technology or online platform? If the answer is yes, that's mean first step towards the problematic or addictive use of technology. Second is control. Do you have a loss of control for use of technology? If that is also yes, that's become second yes for problematic and addictive use of technology. Third is coping. Are you frequently using technology or online platform as a method of coping to feel good, to overcome stress, to overcome loneliness, to feel better off or to get connected? So that's become the third S in your lifestyle. Fourth is compulsion. Has it become a habit for you? Means you have developed zero inbox syndrome, you have phantom vibration syndrome, you also have nomophobia. All these are manifestations of compulsion. If that is there, that's become fourth yes in your lifestyle. And the last is consequences. Because of this, are you developing physical distress? Are you developing psychological consequences? Or are you developing social consequences? If all five or four are there in your lifestyle, then you can say you have problematic use of technology and you definitely require some work at your level, or if you feel that you need some professional help, better seek some professional help so that your use remain in the healthy domain. Next. Now assess yourself. I think this is the first step which I'll say for physical things, which I already take frequent break. Definitely after 30 minutes of screen use, blink your eyes, move your head forward, backward, move your wrist clockwise, anti-clockwise. 60 minutes of physical activity every day recommended for 6 to 17 years age group. If possible, indoor activities will be good because nowadays lockdown, because you can't go out. And to avoid binge watching, take a break of 10 to 15 minutes after each episode or after each show, so that you don't indulge in binge watching or regular at a stretch watching show series. Next. Next, Ashwat.
Yes.
Next is psychological. I think simplest exercise to work on psychological thing is breathing exercise. Slow breath of 5 cycle of inhalation and exhalation of slow breath, which you can do every hourly also or as frequently as you can do. And build up leisure activities to overcome boredom and loneliness. Again, it's individual to individuals, may vary, but I think these some offline activities will definitely help you to overcome boredom. And social and family thing. Another thing which I want our family to practice is called digital fasting. I think digital fasting should become a part and parcel of all families. Means for certain time of the day, maybe 1 hour, maybe 90 minutes, schedule a time where whole family will engage in some sort of offline activities where they will communicate with each other. They will have leisure activities in the family context. In that way, if you bring digital fasting, it will bring a lot of good family bonding. It will bring good communication. It will help you to understand each other needs also, and as well as it will build up a confidence in each others also, because sometimes child parents complain that we don't know what child is doing because child doesn't communicate to us, and the child has a concern that I don't feel confident about my parents because they don't listen to me. So that way, all these concerns can be addressed to have a good family time by building digital fasting, at least for 1 hour every day. You can start with, and depending upon the convenience of everybody, you can work on it. And digital fasting can work for individual also who wants to work on their technology use. They can also schedule certain time of the day. At that time of the day, I will avoid use of technology, or I will keep myself free from technology, and I would use that time for engaging in other activities. So that will also give you the ability to control your use of technology. Next. So these are some of the digital hygiene. Digital hygiene, another thing till now we have talked about sleep hygiene, and this is the commonest thing. Most of the psychological practice we works on this sleep hygiene, but now we are working on digital hygiene also, which include these all 6 steps, frequent breaks. Sometimes at least schedule your meals a day, because with the model which I started with, that your basic needs should not get sacrificed for use of technology. Even for headphones, it is recommended, though still evidence has to come, but every 45 minutes use of headphones, you should take a break. Bring indoor and outdoor physical activities, take care of your self hygiene. And this is the commonest advice which we give. I think if it is comes, it will help you to improve your sleep. Like 30 to 40 minutes before sleeping time, no more online activities, no mobile phone use. If it is, doesn't create any hindrance in your professional work, better to adopt this practice and become a good role model for other family members also, so that it will, because if you avoid use of mobile phone at least 30 minutes before sleeping time, your sleep delay can be avoided and you can have a good sleep, and use that time to do some other offline activities or communication based activities and other things. Next. These are one app we have developed. It is available freely. This is called Shut Clinic Digital Detox app. Uh, Simplest method is like when you open this app, they will ask you to register. Once you register, you will get a login ID for using this app. And once you use this login ID, it will carry you to certain questions which will help you to assess your technology use, and which will also give you the feedback whether in which kind of range, whether you are in the recreational range, whether you are in the problematic range, or whether you are in the addictive range. And as per your category, it will take you to certain self-help strategies also. And this app also has advantage, like it will also give you feedback for each day how much time you have spent on online activities, so that itself can become a self-feedback and can become a goal for you to reduce your technology use for the next day. So try this app. It's available free. And in case if you have any feedback, you can always share with me or to Wellness Center or to Dr. Ashwak. We can further improvise it. And these are the another link for my information material which we have developed from our clinic. Feel free to download this information material and you can circulate to others also. It's available, it's all are in the public domain. Next, Ashwak. And these are some of the messages for the parents also. I thought in case if you have a young children in your home, sometimes parents always have a strategy to take away all technology to cut down the technology use in the children. That may not work. That will bring more resistance. So basic thing is communicate with the child, start spending quality time with the children, build up cyber literacy for yourself as well as for the child also, because nowadays most of the families with young children don't have even YouTubes for children. They still use the adult, whatever the YouTube is available, that is available for children also, and sometimes child also get access to XYZ material and the family get distressed about it. And sometimes because there is what we have seen, even pornography use and all, which is a commonest trend in adults, even children as young as 13 14 also found to be have a access or might have seen pornography content also. So it's means sometimes these things are coming up because of accessibility, because of peer pressure. So sometimes if your child found to be engaging in this behavior, better talk to him rather than becoming critical about him, so that he will always remain confident about you, that you will not take away his technology, but you are interested in his or her welfare. So that way build up confidence and communication with your children. Don't indulge in fear and guilt and shame in your children because of use of technology. Discuss what are the things they have to avoid, and build up certain secure software and security measure in your family and your system, so the child should not have access to those devices. Take a small step, get routine back, have more face-to-face communication. If nothing works and if still child has technology use or other psychological issues also, better consult any psychologist or clinical psychologist or professionals who are available to you, so that who can help you out further. Next slide. And these are some of the guidelines. I think these are recommendations. These are not fixed guidelines, but this is guidelines from American Academy of Pediatrics, as well as WHO also has given similar sort of guidelines, like what to do with technology for young children. Like for below 18 months, avoid screen-based media use. And I'm just deleting, I think this is wrongly written, except video chatting. Video chatting is also not allowed. They have said that below 18 months, no screen use. But I think most of us have a habit, even though the child doesn't have the first breath in this world, we take a photo and put on the social media. So maybe I think the long-term effect has to be seen, but these are some recommendations. For children 18 to 24 months, again, they say it should be high quality time should be spent with the parents if they are using screen. But again, physical activity is the focus. 2 to 5 years, again, less screen use, more physical activity is recommended. And above 6 years, again, develop consistent limits on time spent on media and types of media. But focus remains on physical activities for young children. And it is recommended for adults also. Next. So I think the takeaway always, I think we have discussed signs of digital addictions. It could be in forms of craving, loss of control, coping, compulsion, and consequences. If all 5 C's are there, then you can say you are developing addiction or problematic use of technology. Spend good quality time with your families and friends, so that again it can become a distraction, and they will also know that this is a digital fasting time, not for digital use. Include hobbies, alternative pleasurable activities in your daily life as well as in children's, and don't hesitate to seek help. All are mental health issues. Now gaming has become a mental health conditions, but other use of technology are under research domains, but its effects has been seen in one's daily life as well as in professional life. This is my contacts. In case if you want anything from my side, you can always feel free to contact me. I would definitely be help in sharing information material or I have developed till now. I can be very much willing to share with all of you. And next, and I think the simplest suggestions goes. I think we still have to evolve various models we are working on to delivery of this health condition and to work on issues related to technology use. But we have found good trend like people who have mild use of technology, their cognitive functions are found to be better than people who have excessive or addictive use of technology. But this is a preliminary work we have done. But still, I would end like, do we have to try internet fasting? Fasting for other things we have done, but I think this is a new term which we has technology has brought in our domain. Should we try it out? But still, we are in the learning curve. I think hope so. In the future, we will be come out with more uh, positive solutions for these issues related to the technology use. Thank you all, and thank you. And these are some of the information material which we have developed, but I already shared a site. You can download this from that link also. Thank you.
Okay.
Ashfaq, please go ahead.
Yes, yes. I'm just stopping the sharing. Yeah. Sir, in your digital detox application, is there a option where I can set my usage of internet usage? Then I can getting alarm. For example, I am use 4 hours, then I'm getting an alarm. So where I'm getting little bit awareness. Okay, I used 5 hours now. So is there any such type of option? Is there in the digital detox, sir?
No, I think we have not built up that option. I think we have to build up that option.
Uh-huh.
Still, it is like it's based on user only that before they go to the bed, they can see how much they have used
Uh-huh.
and they can plan for the next. But I think that sort of alarm or the thing we have to bring in the our digital detox side.
Okay. So now it's open for audience. If anybody have the question, they can unmute and they can ask to the resource person. Otherwise, they can write in the chat box. Sir, apart from sir, is there any what were comments regarding the online gaming? Because in students, among the students, we found the gaming is also a little bit concerned. So is there any timeline, or apart from the 5C, is there any timeline? Okay, maybe they can play for 1 hour, 2 hour, then such type of any timeline.
I think timeline wise, still decision has to be made that how much time is okay time to use and how much time it can be we can recommend. But if I would take a mean of whatever the studies have been done and the usage time which has been documented, so if I would take a mean of all the studies, it comes out to be 4 to 6 hours is uh, the okay time for use per day. That is what the mean, but I'm not saying it is recommended. This is the mean time I'm saying based on available research is done, so which I calculated, so it's coming out in that range for per day use, which I think is okay to use in day-to-day activities.
Okay.
But I think again we have to see this 6 hours, if it takes away your productive time, if it takes away your productivity, then it's become unhealthy also.
Sir, another thing, as a member of that non-academic field, in IIT and other institute, we are promoting online classes, because one point of the time it was like more focused on offline classes, coming to the regular classes. Now it's promoting like coming to the online classes. So when we are promoting online classes, should we take some parameter, or should we take some awareness quotation and we can send among the students? If it is yes, can you suggest some of the point?
I think this area we are now going to do research so that we can give a better recommendation in terms of, because now online class is going to be part and parcel of our academic schedules also. So we are working on those things, and I think we are generating data also.
Mhm.
So maybe in the coming months, we would be able to give you more empirical based facts for users time as well as in terms of recommendations also. But at this moment, I would say every 30 to 40 minutes, take a break so at least physical health can be taken care of.
Mhm.
But rest of the recommendation, I think I may be able to suggest after maybe 5 to 6 months later.
Okay. So there is one question in the chat box. It's from Divya. How psychotherapeutic intervention of internet addiction is different from internet gaming addiction?
Uh, Basically, in terms of psychotherapy interventions are evolving for gaming addictions also. And already, I think only cognitive behavior therapy is available for managing issues related to the internet addiction.
Mhm.
But and similar kind of content is being used for the management of gaming addiction also in terms of their cognitions, in terms of their behavioral skills, in terms of their psychoeducations and all. But still, I think the work is going on in India as well as in abroad also to come out with a standalone module which would be different for gaming addiction and which would be different for internet addiction. But from Shut Clinic, we also have developed a module which is supported by ICMR, and where we have built up a 8 session interventions, and we have also focused on psychoeducation component. We have focused on motivational component, and we have focused on cognitive component also, which always remain because all technology addictions also have a relationship with some certain psychological issues. So definitely cognitive component will be there and goes with the skill training also, which could be in terms of lifestyle changes, which could be in terms of other behavioral measures also. So these kind of content we have used in our intervention and we found very effective in our clinic population. But now we may validate it on a larger sample size to establish its impact and validity also.
Okay, sir. Sir, another question, sir. Is there any relation between some particular personality characteristic and excessive internet use?
These findings are coming up like certain personality, like we have seen, like neurotic people, like people who are anxious, who have certain other stress-related issues. They are found to be more in the gaming or in the various kind of online addiction. So, and people who use various emotional-based coping mechanism, they are also found to be higher on this kind of excessive use or internet kind based of activities. So these kind of findings have another association which is significantly has come between depression, anxiety, and stress, which is found to have a consistent relationship with excessive use of technology. But there is always a bidirectional relationships come. Sometimes psychological issues also may predispose you for excessive use of technology. And sometimes because of technology use, you have built up so much dysfunctions that also contributes to psychological issues. So each individual has to be seen in a particular way so that each individual's reasons would be different and each individual can be helped in a different way. So reasons and the causality will vary from individual to individual.
Okay, so there is another question in the chat box. Firstly, she's acknowledging, thank you, sir, for the informative presentation. The question is, nowadays, children and adolescents are required to do online classes for school, college, as well as tuition due to the current pandemic situation. They are required to spend long hours online. What do you think the psychosocial as well as physiological effects of this is going to be like?
I think I would say at this moment it would be too early to me to say that it will lead to XYZ effects, but definitely use has built up preference among children for online activities. And another thing which concern has come among parents, like most of the children do engage in chatting and other things also while doing online classes. So they don't know how does this all these things will affect their productivity and all. but children definitely complains of fatigueness because of long hours of use. So definitely those their parents can work with or the school can work with, so that certain sort of break and leisure time can be bring in the online classes schedule also, so that children's physical distress can be taken care of. And I think the family has to spend good quality time, because this is a time that we should not be concerned about only about online technology. We should also use the time to establish good quality time with the children's, and use these activities, use this time to build up these activities for the future also. So that will help the family and the children to build up good communication and bonding also.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before concluding the session, from some reflection from my side, I could see we learn a lot of the thing. There are different strategy you have mentioned. Along with that one, I can ensure that one everyone might have learned some different type of terminology like nomophobia, digital fasting. So before concluding the session, I am handovering to Dr. Shiga Jain to reflect on the presentation. Handovering to Dr.
Yeah,
Shiga Jain.
hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening to all. And today it's a great privilege and joy for me to extend vote of thanks. On the behalf of Wellness Center IIT Roorkee, I would like to express my thanks to Professor Manoj Kumar Sharma, who accepted our invitation and agreed to deliver a talk on this topic. Nowadays, it's a burning topic, boosting healthy internet habits. Now, everybody wants to get rid of this internet addiction and internet gaming and all sort of things, especially the students. And of course, we are using this digital detox mobile app, and it's very helpful in counseling the students regarding the internet addiction. And I am sure that students will be benefited, and I am sure that students are benefited from this session. And I would like to express the thanks to all of you. You have spared your valuable time with us, and it's a very good thing that Professor Manoj Kumar said that digital fasting and inculcate the physical activities so that students can monitor their internet kind of thing, because here we are facing that students are most of the students are addicted to pornography. So I hope this digital detox app will be good for to watch their internet addiction regarding the pornography also. And once again, I am thankful and to you all, Professor Manoj Kumar and all the listeners and who have attended this webinar. So thank you all and good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sir.
Good day.
So the last word I could see, especially to Dr. Manoj Kumar Sharma, you could see in the comments box. So there are so many audience. They were expressed their gratitude, mentioning that thank you for your wonderful presentation, very informative session, and I hope everyone has enjoyed your presentation. So yes, finally, yes, thank you, sir, to
Thank
accept
you.
our invitation and joining with us. Okay, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashfaq. Thank you, Dr. Shikha.
Yeah, thanks a
Thank you,
lot,
everybody.
sir.
Yes.
And we'll get back to you soon.
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.